Hi, today I'm going to be going through 5 different TED Talks with you. Let's just hop straight into the first one. The first question is, what is Sir Ken Robinson trying to communicate? I believe that he's trying to communicate that creativity is just as important in education as literacy. He said that education tends to grow children out of their creativity, and he has used many different examples of that. And one of the main things is the fear that comes with education, because you don't ever want to be wrong. So that's almost taking away your creativity because you are too scared to fail at that point. What tools does he use to communicate? He uses his voice, his hands, gesture, his posture. He uses all of those to communicate, but he doesn't have visual aids, but that doesn't really take away from it because he does an excellent job with what he has. Why do you think that his speech was effective? I think that his speech was really effective because you could tell he had practiced it, and he used a lot of good humor to keep the audience engaged. The topic was also truly interesting for me to learn about. It wasn't just something boring. How does he connect to his audience through humor? His humor really keeps the attention of the audience at the very beginning, but he also uses it to keep attention throughout the entire speech. I think he also used it to kind of give himself a break, because when he did use it, I could tell that he was getting a little bit flustered maybe, and when the audience was laughing at his jokes, he kind of had a chance to calm down a little bit. The next video, first question is, how does Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie make her points? So she makes her points by taking her life and putting it into context with all these different examples that she's giving out and how they relate to what she's speaking about. And what are TED Talks? TED stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design. So it's just kind of talks and speeches about all those kinds of concepts. What purpose do they serve in our communities? I think, well, there's obviously the TED Talks for like general education, just kind of giving basic understanding of certain concepts, but there's also ones that are given in certain locations that might need them more. There might be some about activism, some about medicine, technology, and it's just a really good way to get information out there. Okay, so next I'm going to be moving on to the 3 TED Talks that I chose. The first one I chose is by Vic Muniz, and he is talking about how he makes art with wire, sugar, chocolate, and string. I chose this one because he was actually part of my art assignment last week, but I just found him really interesting, and I thought that I would like to share that with the class. So the first thing I learned about him was he was giving some of his backstory, and he is a Brazilian artist who got shot by somebody, but he didn't end up pressing charges against him because instead of taking him to court, he just demanded money from him so he could get a plane ticket to America and start creating his art, which I found very interesting. So some tools that he used to communicate were his hands, gestures, posture, but he also used a lot of visual aids. He kept putting up pictures of his art on a screen, and that was really helpful because you could see what he was talking about. Well, you could hear what he was talking about, and then you could see it there, so that was really nice. The second TED Talk I chose was by Jessica Ochoa, and she's talking about how she used virtual reality in education to get students more excited about science. So this VR technology could allow students to act as marine biologists for a few class periods, and so they would use this to explore underwater environments and just get children more excited about science and learning. She didn't really use humor, it was more educational, but she did have some visuals which allowed the audience to see what a student would see through the VR, which I found to be really interesting. It definitely wasn't the most interesting talk in the world because there was no humor, but it was still pretty interesting to learn about different ways to educate students. So the third talk that I chose was by Caitlin Sattler, and she was talking about how we could teach our bodies to heal faster. At the beginning, she gave some examples about salamanders growing back their tails and just the crazy regeneration some animals have. So she is an immunologist, and she was talking about testing an immune response to teach the body to heal faster. She would create biomaterials that your immune system could use and somehow get to the wound site and heal it. I didn't really understand a lot because it was obviously above my education level, but it was pretty interesting. A certain kind of cell would kind of take things out of this material that she created and use it as a catalyst or something to heal. So she didn't use jokes, but that was kind of expected for me because this was a pretty serious talk. But there were some visual aids which especially helped because the topic was pretty hard and complex. So that was really nice. And she was also able to keep the attention of the audience because even though there wasn't any jokes, it was a really interesting talk and it was really fascinating. So I believe that a lot of the people there watching it were also interested in the same topic. So it was kind of like catering to that crowd. And yeah, I really liked that talk. So that's it for me, and I hope to see the speeches by the rest of you. Bye.